Hey, what's up to everybody out there? Welcome to another edition of the Roundtable Talk. I am your host, C Money, and we are back here. Pretty much hotspots in South Florida, but not much hotspots in South Florida. We are at Snook Creek Boat Ramp here in Wilton Manors. Now, funny as you may, this is on the borderline of Fort Lauderdale and Wilton Manors. I'm gonna take you outside here to the area. If you look right here at the sign in the middle of the road, let me get a little bit more closer. You can see it says welcome to Fort Lauderdale. And then as you pass the sign and come into here, you're in the area of Wilton Manors. Now this boat ramp, you see where that sign that I just showed you, and you see where the cars are coming in and out? That is Mills Pond Park, the park that I did do a episode of a while back. Now, upon this, this is where you dock your boat at and things like that. So this is an actual boat ramp. And funny, it's not connected to Mills Pond, is it? Because Mills Pond is part of Fort Lauderdale Parks and Recreation. This is part of Wilton Manors. This is the Snook Creek Boat Ramp site plan map. And as you know, the city of Wilton Manors, if you don't know, Wilton Manors is a heavily populated gay and lesbian city in the Broward County area. It's known for its gay nightlife and gay living, because a lot of people who live the gay and lesbian lifestyle, they come to Wilton Manors, because Wilton Manors is the home not the home. Well, I should say Wilton Manors is where a lot of Broward County's gay and lesbian homosexual men and women reside at. There's a lot of bars and a lot of nightclubs and things like that to do in Wilton Manors. We'll probably do an episode there, even though I don't want to go in that area, but we'll probably do an episode there to show you what it's about and things like that. So this is the boat ramp. If you can get an understanding, on the other side of here is, of course, Mills Pond Park. Now, I've always, every time I go into Mills Pond, I always try to figure out where do the boats go at, because there is a bridge here. If you saw at the beginning of the show, there's a bridge here, and if you walk down the little nature trail at Mills Pond, you'll see that there sometimes are boats that come through passing by. Now, this is kind of a dangerous situation where there is no bar or gate closing here, so anybody can easily fall in. Now, I don't think that this is too deep because it's right near the boat ramp, and I do see a rock down there and several other things, but the fact that there isn't, and of course here too, even though it says do not lean on railings, and of course there's nothing here as well, you can easily fall in. Oh, there's a boat right there coming now. No wonder why they call this a pond, because this water looks filthy. It's not crystal clear water, and it's because of the trees and all of that. I forgot what they called it. I remember they called it something when I went to Ann, but this is like the area, and this water is heavily nasty. I know the birds and critters and nightlife and creatures and wildlife, I know they probably drink this water because this is the only type of water they can drink. But for us humans, we drink this water, we'll be sick for days. But excuse me, y'all, for my sinuses. But yeah, so now I don't have any more information on when this boat ramp was opened and how long it's been in service, but you can pretty much see from this and this that it's been here for a while, and This, I didn't know what this was. This is probably an observational deck where you can look at things. Like you could look at the boats pass by, or just even look at the nature, trees and stuff. I know somewhere over this way is, I believe, Mills Pond. Throughout the trees there, they do Mills Pond and things like that. And I always thought when I saw this that this was tied to Mills Pond, because it's so, like, you're literally feet away from the entrance to Mills Pond. And when I saw that it had that Wilton Manors logo on it, I'm like, but that's Fort Lauderdale. So once you pass Mills Pond, you're literally into, I don't know what this is, and oh, I forgot to explain. This is Power Line Road, of course, which is also called Northwest 9th Avenue, and we are right here near 26th Street. So 26th Street is around the area where Fort Lauderdale ends and Wilton Manors begins. You know, a lot of these cities, not just here in Florida, but in other states as well, they have tricky city limits to where a street, you know, like Miami-Dade has a street called County Line Road, which is Northwest 215th Street, which is the road that's right before you enter into Broward County. And I don't know what's the same with Broward County into Palm Beach, but a lot of these cities, they you know, and I've seen it in states too online, where states are separated by a street. Like one side of the street can be a state, you cross the street, you're on the other side of this another state and things like that. So it can be to where it is, you know, very tricky. And that's the same situation here. Like soon as you pass Mills Pond Park on Bower Line Road, you're literally in Wilton Manors. And it's like, wow, you know, a city can be turned, can end, and another city can begin just by crossing one street. You know, and that's basically what this is. Now, I can honestly tell you that a lot of these trees and a lot of these tall trees and wildlife, you know, and a lot of this habitat or whatever was probably damaged over the years due to hurricanes and you know, bad weather, that a lot of these trees got tumbled over. I don't know if you remember the episode I did with Mills Pond, and it was other episodes where I done visit these parks where they have, you know, old walking trails and old, you know, like observational decks where they got so severely damaged that they had to close them. Mills Pond is one of them. They had one at Grinnell's, but Grinnell's fixed theirs because they had a bridge that was, you know, towards the entrance of one of the entrances of the park, and it ended up being damaged, and they was doing construction, and they have reopened it. And I'm gonna probably go there one day and show you the bridge. But this is probably it. You know, a lot of these bridges like this is probably because of heavy wind, hurricanes, and you know, like severe weather, where then you can see that this is leaning to the side, if you can tell. You know, they have plant life, which is a pond apple, a white mangrove, a red mangrove, a spider lily, a sand cord grass, and swamp lily. Now, a lot of these you can't really see because this picture graph is probably old. It says, "Welcome to the Snapper Creek Boat Ramp, which is a 0.6 acre site with a wetlands edge and an upland area that contains some of the most ecological sensitive plant and animal communities in South Florida. Hurricane Wilma of October 2005 caused some damage to the wetlands edge along the river. Therefore, the city of Wilton Manors has implemented an extensive native plant installation as part of the park's construction. Snook Creek Boat Ramp and the adjoining wetlands to the west of the most common plant materials are the white mangrove, the red mangrove, particular to this site. The river's edge plants are dominated by 30 white mangrove and pond apple trees. These trees grow about 30 to 50 feet in height. So they tell you a lot about a lot of this. I'm not going to go fully into details. Sniper Creek boat went wildlife. See, this is kind of like, it's old, but you can see snowy egret, which looks like a bird, whatever. Raccoons. I actually seen one earlier. Opossum, I haven't seen a possum. Manatee, I haven't seen that. Great blue heron and alligator. I have not seen an alligator, but I do not want to see an alligator here. And I'm quite sure they're probably somewhere in this water. I seen a raccoon today earlier. I went inside Mills Pond. I was eating some food that I got from Long John Silver's because I wanted to eat, and then I decided to come out here and eat in the park because it's been a minute since I've ate in the park. So I decided, hey, why not come to eat here? And I ended up, seeing a raccoon, and I was like, I ain't got no food for you. And there's some other, let me go to the other signage that's here. Oh, we did this one already. This is the one of the area map and things like that. And this one right here, there also is parking area where you can park your cars at, I'm guessing. State regulated manatee zones. So they have manatee zones here in the Broward County area. And there are a lot of manatee zones here. And this is Be a Better Boater, meaning they give you tips on things on how to be a boater without, damaging the wildlife or damaging, our ecosystem and our plants and our animals and stuff. Protect the gentle giant, which is a manatee. And, they give you all types of tips on how to, not just here. You could have it online where if you're a boater, know to boat in the right areas. Don't boat where you see a lot of habitat or animals and things like that, because eventually you might kill one of them. A lot of these boats, they have propellers, and the propellers may come in contact with an animal, and then it may cut an animal to where it may injure or even kill an animal and things like that. I seen a historian that I've follow online, and I say that one of the interstates that they have in northern part of Florida, somebody killed, I think, a panther, and they left it to die on the side of the road. And I was like, what? And I was like, that is inhumane. And I'm like, yep, that's what people do. Like, you used to seeing people, they kill deer for a living and they take it home, and you'll never see somebody kill a panther and leave it on the side of the road. So it seemed like this is a little, like, I think, piece of a tree. I just wanted to get a closer look of it. But yeah, this is, I'm probably going to do my research on this boat ramp, because they probably don't have much info on when this opened up. I know it's been here for a while, because it did say in 2005 Hurricane Wilma damaged majority of this. And this is what I've been saying about most of these parks with these natural habitats, and these parks that have these nature trails and stuff like that. A lot of these trails from, these parks have been heavily damaged by Hurricane Andrew, Hurricane Wilma, Hurricane Katrina, and a lot of these, heavy thunderstorms and severe weather, to a point where it was hard or impossible for these parks and these recreationals and these state parks and these park people. Oh, I thought it was something on me. My shoe came. I'm sorry, y'all. My shoelaces came loose. I thought it was something on me. I was going to jump for joy. But yeah, a lot of these park facilities, a lot of these park rangers and park recreational facilities, that it gets impossible to restore. Just like the one here in Mills Pond, they have a observational deck that sits in over here in this area, and you can see it when you're walking down the trail that they built. But as far as walking the trail, because it's the entrance of the trail is, I think, near the administrative building, but it is heavily damaged, meaning that it got so damaged to where it is unwalkable. I mean, I'm quite sure there have been exhibitionists or adventurers that have probably found a way over there to go over there and sit on the observational walking trail and all that stuff. But me, nah, because this is too much. There's a lot of, like you said, they got raccoons, they got alligators, they got a lot of that stuff, and I'm not one to, nah. But yeah, a lot of these parks, when they wildlife and they nature sanctuaries get damaged by hurricanes or severe weather, it's hard and impossible for them to actually, restore or even, try to, do anything about it, because it's natural wildlife. And by law, most of these wildlife are protected by law. So when they get to things looking like this or looking like that, because I'm quite sure back in the 2000s and the 90s this wasn't looking like this. It looked like nice little trees hanging so high, and over here it was like, then the hurricanes came, and Hurricane Andrew in 92 washed all this away, and it started looking like this. And then they started saying, we can't do nothing about it, it's natural wildlife. And then more hurricanes came in and started messing up more of the habitat, to the point where it got so bad till they say we just gonna have to leave the natural habitat to where it is. And a lot of the animals and plants and all of that stuff, they got more used to how it was formed, and they call this home, And yes, I do sometimes, and some nature centers and some, parks where they have nature trails and wildlife and stuff, they do, trim the trees and cut down trees and stuff like that, because a lot of that stuff, it gets to where it's overpowering certain areas. Like, say for instance, you have a tree that is probably hovering over a sidewalk, and it's impossible for a lot of pedestrians to do. I remember when a friend of mine, rest in peace, that passed away back in 2016, it was an issue with a intersection in a neighborhood. It wasn't like a main intersection, it was like a neighborhood intersection where there was trees that was in somebody's yard, and it was overpowering the sidewalk and the street, and it was hard for anybody to see if there was a car coming down the street because the trees were so far out. So my friend ended up getting into an accident by hitting another car, and what happened was they tried to get the neighborhood to petition so they can have they tried to get everybody's signature in the neighborhood to petition, because they say several people, not only him, have had same incident where they couldn't see through the they couldn't see, who's coming down the street, because the trees was overpowering the sidewalk and close to the street where they couldn't see. And by them pulling out a little bit more, they get hit by somebody, because the street, they had a stop sign. The other street, I don't think, had a stop sign. So if you got to put up a little bit more and a car coming, you'll get hit by a car. But I don't know what ended up happening. I think eventually, I don't know what ended up happening. I don't know if they actually got the city to get them to cut down the trees or stuff like that. But I know eventually, it was somewhere here in Fort Lauderdale. It was in the Fort Lauderdale area. So, but I think eventually the trees got cut down, because I'm quite sure there was more incidents that happened. And a lot of these, places like that, like they'll get, wildlife and habitat areas that it overpowers certain areas. Like it'll probably be a whole bunch of trees that's overlooking a pavilion that people use to have rent out, or it overlooks a playground or something like that, or it's getting too overpowered to where it's a lot of bushes that they can't control, and they have to go in and cut it down because it's probably near a sidewalk or something, and they have to do stuff like that. But in reality, they don't mess with these natural habitats, because it's nature growing in different ways, so they have to do stuff like that. But this is what it basically is. This is not a big area. Like these over here are parking spaces for, and they also got a wheelchair parking space for when you dock your boat down here, you go park your car and then you go ride your boat. But a lot of the people that ride their boats through here live in the area, so a lot of their boats are docked near their houses. Like I know if you've ever been to Mills Pond and you go down to the end of the nature trail, across the pond, there's a lot of houses that's in this area here. That's a corner store, but there's a lot of houses in this area, and you can see the houses, and people can dock their boats there at the house. One of the houses that I know is an Airbnb. Somebody, a viewer of mine, said that one of the houses across from the pond is an Airbnb because a viewer of mine stays somewhere in one of the houses along the pond, and they say one of the houses there is an Airbnb because I always see like different people. I say the few times that I have came here, I've seen different people. And I'm like, what? And he said, yeah, one of the people, like I've been here like 2 or 3 times in the past, and you will see different people. And he one of my viewers did say that there's an Airbnb that sits there. So, and I was like, okay, but yeah, this is Snook Creek Boat Ramp in Wilton Manors, the island city. I don't know why they call it the island city, because Wilton Manors is not an island. It's just a city that is prone to gay and lesbians and things like that. But this is it. And let's see what the police signs say. That's probably the Wilton Manors police. This is probably a little trail that leads into the area of Mills Pond, Now I'm gonna take you and walk you, because we're almost close to the end. I'm gonna walk you to see how close we are to actually Mills Pond, because this is the boat ramp right here. That's which is South Fork Middle River boat ramp. Now there go the little tree branch that we was looking at, and see, people, they don't travel under this bridge. They go this way. Now this way, I think it's the area where you're going to get to Mills Pond. I don't know if people travel under this bridge, because this is a low bridge and no fishing, no crabbing from bridge. But a lot of people, I know they could probably travel under that bridge with something both. Now that boat that came earlier can travel under that bridge. I don't know if it can travel under this bridge, but this is the entrance bridge to Mills Pond as well. And a lot of iguanas sit here. And I've seen raccoons that sit in this area. So this is how, here's the welcome to Fort Lauderdale sign. So once you cross this bridge, the Middle River Bridge, you are basically in Wilton Manors. Now, it's probably a sign further down that is telling you that you are in Wilton Manors, but I only see the sign that says welcome to Fort Lauderdale. So this is basically how close you is. And this is what I'm telling you, how a lot of these cities, you can be a bridge away. Like this bridge separates Fort Lauderdale from Wilton Manors on Powerline Road. And then there are other cities that a street, remember I told you said earlier in the video that a street like can separate 2 cities. I know in Miami Gardens, I told you about 215th Street, which is also known as County Line Road, is the last street, is the northern street of Miami-Dade. But what separates Miami-Dade and Broward is the Florida Turnpike, because 215th Street runs parallel to the Florida Turnpike. And on the other side of the Florida Turnpike, which is the northern side of Florida Turnpike, is Broward County. So, there are a lot of cities that are separated mainly by streets. This here is separated by a bridge on Powerline Road, and I'm quite sure there's many streets on other areas that is separated from this. So this is it. This is the Snook Creek Boat Ramp here in Wilton Manors, and I never actually went in this thing, but I decided let me go take a look at it, and it's actually kind of decent. I know there's probably people that do come out here and do intake on the observational deck, but to me that's a little bit risky, because you got 2 open sections of it and 1 push into that observation deck, and you can easily be like, whoa, like you're in that water. And and that water is not clean. So I wouldn't recommend that boat, that observation deck. But I went on it because I seen it. But remember, my shoes got untied, and I thought something was on me, and I was about to jump for glory. But but yeah, let me get out of here because I got to tie my shoe, and I'm heading home now. I done ate my Long John Silvers. I wanted some Long John Silver, so I decided to come up here and get some LJS because I haven't had that in a long time. So I said, let me go get some delicious Long John Silver. But this is it. This is Snook Creek. I keep saying, I'm thinking Snapper Creek, but it's Snook Creek Boat Ramp. I don't know why I get Snapper Creek. Here in Wilton Manors. And I thank y'all for watching this. As always, stay safe, stay blessed, stay hydrated. And of course, I will see y'all in the next episode of the Roundtable Talk. I am your host, C Money. Take care.